Welcome to the 30-minute acrylic portrait where we paint an acrylic portrait a la prima in about a half an hour. I hope you're doing well. And today we're going to be working on a painting of a man who's smiling against a blue background. We've got a lot of wonderful contrast on his face, really nice detail, and we've got some wrinkles in there, but what I really love is the triangular shape of his nose. And that's going to be a real treat to paint that. And we're going to be doing this again a la prima in 30 minutes real time. I'm going to be using this timer to basically make sure that I'm staying on track, and you can see my progress as well as I'm painting and see that it's all been done real time here. It's a great way to challenge yourself and to really see what you can accomplish in a short amount of time to improve your skills in seeing proportions and anatomy and likeness, and just putting the paint up there without a lot of fuss. Hopefully you can translate that into other paintings as well, where you take more time, but it can make you more efficient in that process. So I'm going to be beginning here in just a moment, but let me open up with a quick word of prayer, and then we'll get started. The Father, I ask a blessing on this session. Help me to be able to paint this portrait well, and I pray that the students would benefit from this. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, and we're going to begin the painting. I just had to turn off my speaker on my computer. Without fail, when I start recording videos, I'll get people messaging me on Facebook Messenger or things like that, so I just had to turn that off. That's more of a distraction than this ticking here. That actually keeps me on track. All right, let's get started here. Oh, and let me show you quickly the paints we're going to be using. So we're going to be using raw umber dark, burnt sienna, raw sienna, ultramarine blue, alizarin crimson, naphtha red, organic orange, Indian yellow, and titanium white. And I use Nova Color paints. You could use Liquitex. They're also a good brand. And an assortment of brushes, flats and rounds. Nothing too fancy. All right, let's begin. So the first step is to block in our composition. And let me just get this timer all the way up to 30 minutes. I don't want to jip myself at all. I need every second I can get to do this. Okay, so we're going to block in the composition. So we begin by taking a little bit of raw umber dark and matte medium.
Real quick, if you struggle with skin tones in your acrylic portrait, I have a fix for you. This is a free PDF downloadable guide called Fix Muddy Skin Tones in Your Acrylic Portrait. It's several pages of tips, images, along with examples on how you can clearly fix portraits where the skin tones get out of hand, kind of chalky and muddy, and this will help you out a lot. So it's a free guide. Go ahead, download it in the link below this video or in the top comment, and print it off, set it next to your painting, and it'll be a great reference tool for you to help you keep your skin tones on track, or if they've gotten out of hand, to get them back on track using color theory and some clear examples from my over 30 years of portrait painting experience. My gift to you. Thank you so much.
Clear acrylic medium without any pigment, and that makes the paint kind of semi-transparent or translucent. And we just use that to block in everything very faintly. So let's take that, and then we're going to basically just kind of plot out, looking at a reference photo and trying to gauge, where things should be. And I'm going to kind of have things cropped off, similar to the reference photo. Let's actually add a little bit of ultramarine blue to this color. I don't want it to stand out too much. Just tone it down a little bit. So raw umber dark and ultramarine blue together will give us a kind of a neutral color we can use for this. Okay, so we'll begin just by saying, okay, here's the top of his hair, and I'm going to have this cropped off similar to what we see in the reference photo. So when you're doing your composition, that's a good idea, just to think of it not as so much of a head or a face, but just look at the shapes. And then this is going to be, we have some angles here of the cheekbone and chin. And, I'd say the chin probably comes down to maybe about there. So we want to look at that overall and just kind of get in the shape of his face. Got his ear right here, maybe something like that. Okay, the back of the neck, shirt. We'll probably give just a little more length below the chin here because I have a slightly different format in my image area than what we've got on this 8x10 canvas. I have this 8x10 canvas pre-toned with some blue paint and titanium white. I think I used ultramarine blue, phthalo blue, and a bit of titanium white. Maybe a little raw umber dark so it wasn't too vibrant. Okay, and then this is going to represent his shoulder right there. So we've got the chin, we've got the cheek, we've got the temple. We'll kind of plot in the hairline here. It's roughly like that. Now we want to block in the facial features, and we want to think of it again more of shapes and the value structure, the contrast between the lights and darks, rather than trying to paint like eyes and eyebrows and eyelashes and things like that. Let's just look at the overall shape that the shadows create, you know, here in the reference photo, and then really zone in on those areas of high contrast, like his nose. You can see that that nose creates a strong triangular shape, and it really sticks out against the other areas. So we're gonna kind of plot that out. Now I'm trying to get as good of a likeness as I can get within this time frame, but you know, more interested in getting the overall feel of the portrait and the contrast and that kind of thing. All right, so then we've got, you know, the overall shape of its mouth. And again, I'm looking at these major shapes created by the shadows, the shadow being cast by the nasolabial fold onto the mouth. Yes, and the shape of the mouth is important too. We realize that the mouth probably doesn't go as far as we would think to the edge. There's quite a bit of cheek showing, and we've got the nasolabial fold on the other side, and that's often missed and neglected, you know, by artists when they're painting that. Especially in doing a 3/4 angle like this, you know, we can often paint what we see, or sorry, paint what we think we see instead of actually what we see. So I just want to look at that reference photo and see what you should be doing. Follow that reference photo. So I've got a little bit of a shadow down here that I'm trying to capture on that Adam's apple neck area, and got a little bit of a shadow here. And it's nice to, you know, do portraits with strong lighting. If you're going to be, especially doing a 30-minute portrait, works way better when you choose a subject, a reference photo that's got some really strong shadows. I've done a couple of them with more ambiguous light, and it's way harder. It's just really hard to capture the form when you don't have a lot of time to develop a lot of nuance. So again, we're going to work in a more general way here. He's really got kind of a wrinkle that takes him all the way up there, a little higher. I don't want to make that nose, you know, too big. Maybe something about like that. We got the eye, which is not quite as important as getting in the main shadow shapes. Got the ear and that shadow being created, the jawline, so forth. And the hair, of course. So I think this is enough information. Then we can build out from there and start working in our shadows. So now we're going to switch to a round brush, a larger round brush, and we're going to take some raw umber dark and a little bit of titanium white to make it semi-opaque, some ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson, and make kind of a black color. And you could use black as well. I probably should have had that on my palette, but oh well. I don't usually have it on my palette. You can make your own black just using these kinds of colors. All right, so We have the dark color for the hair. Let's kind of block that in first, actually, since I've got this color mixed. I'll just use my flat brush for that. We'll just block in kind of the contrasted area for the hair. We'll work our way down kind of left to right, top to bottom as much as possible. Okay, so just blocking in the hair, and he's got a pretty shallow hairline. I mean, the hair comes really close to his facial features, so not a very long forehead. Unlike myself, where I have a forehead that goes on for miles and miles. You know, he's just got a really short forehead, so we want to render it the way we see it. Okay, and then his hair kind of fades away here with that short cropped haircut. So we're capturing that. Just kind of block that in. And then let's switch to that larger round brush. And then I want to begin to work in, again, some of the shadows on the face. So raw umber dark, we have a bit of titanium white. Need some ultramarine blue. Trying to get the right tonal value, a little bit of alizarin crimson. Color is warm, but it's not too intense. So I have to make sure not to overdo that. More raw umber dark. Added here with a little bit of ultramarine blue. Hopefully we can just get the right kind of shade. So again, raw umber dark, alizarin crimson, ultramarine blue. And I think that'll get us a pretty good color to block in some of these dark tonal values. So I like to do that part first. Let's actually leave a little area open for the highlight on that lower part of the concentric eyelid fold. And we'll block this in here. Get this whole side blocked in as well. I don't care quite so much about the positioning of the eye yet. I just want to get the shadows kind of filled in here on this part of the face. If this were a larger canvas, I probably would use a flat brush. I'm probably pushing it to use a round brush on, you know, an area where I'm filling in so much, but this will give me a little more accuracy as far as the placement of some of these forms. So we'll see how that works out in the end portrait. Okay, now doing the shadow here on the nasolabial fold. Get a little bit of fading here. Going around the lip area. Chin. We want to make sure we get in all these forms as much as we can. All right, so we're getting in those major shadows now. Just want to make sure I have the shadow here, and then the shadow for the lip as well, kind of blocked in. Oh, and the shadow on the neck, we've got to get that in as well. There we go. You can see already the form developing, even just with some of these shadows. It's kind of cool how that works. When you pay attention to the tonal value structure, you start getting in actually some form and dimension on the face. Okay, now just rinse off my brush quickly. Since it's a larger area, I'm going to use a filbert brush to start blocking in some of the lighter values. We'll take titanium white, burnt sienna, great color for a skin tone. as a foundation to start with. You can always add other colors as well, but I find titanium white, burnt sienna, sometimes a little raw sienna too, can give you a nice flesh tone. And we'll kind of work out of that. Maybe even just a little bit of alizarin crimson. Get some of the redder hues in there. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start on this right-hand side and kind of work out of that. Let's see, the nose, lock in that form. Now we're just kind of going around all these areas. Now, we want to leave some room for the highlights, but I'll probably go on top for that. And we'll want to tie in some of these shadows into the midtones. Here we can use just the corner of the brush to get in some of those other shapes. I forgot to turn my phone off, so we still have people trying to get a hold of me. This seems to happen as soon as I start recording a video. Oh well, I'm not going to go and leave to turn off my phone. I'll just have to get over the distractions. I don't know, I was diagnosed with ADHD as an adult here just about a year and a half ago, which isn't surprising, but I do tend to get a little bit distracted, but I can overcome. All right, we just want to fill in all these areas here on the tonal values on his face and really try to get that filled in as quickly as we can. Need to also put it in on the ear area as well. And then here we're going to have kind of a blend, you know, as the skin is showing a little bit on that hair area. Okay, now let's tie in with a round brush some of the shadows and midtones. We're going to mix these two together, but plus we add a little bit of a warmer color, burnt sienna, a little bit of naphthol red. I find that works well when you're mixing your skin tones, to mix your shadows, highlights together, but then add a warmer color where the two merge, and you'll find it's going to look a lot better that way. Let's add a little bit of alizarin crimson as well. All right, so if you do that, you should get a pretty nice transitional color that you can work out of. And we'll place that in right around here. Again, just to kind of develop things a bit further, give us a little more depth and shading on his face. We'll put a little bit on the nose. Now the nose probably could get even warmer still, but I'm just going to use this color for right now. Yep, and that part there could get a little warmer yet. Naphthol red, just add a little bit right there on the corner. Okay. And maybe even a bit of organic orange. And we'll pop this in right here. So put that in on the cheek, because the cheeks tend to be a little warmer. So I have to remember that just to give it that appropriate warmth that it should have. We're about halfway through, 15 minutes in on this project. Okay, I want to develop a little bit of shading interior there, some red hues as well around the chin. Go back to this darker mid-tone. Okay, and just get a little bit of a warmer color there. Okay, and then on the jawline, it gets a little bit cooler, actually more yellowish. We're going to add some yellow to this mixture. Raw sienna. Okay, we'll just put that in down here on that jawline. Just try to kind of get that articulated. And let's smooth this in a little bit. Okay, get a little bit of shading going on the bottom. You can also get some shading in right here, show that kind of neck structure. Here we need to add a little bit of raw sienna right there. Get that structure going on the neck. Kind of blend out of that darkest tonal value here. Just get a little bit of shading on the neck. Okay, now for the hair, to take the darkest flesh, or sorry, that kind of hair color, add some raw sienna to it, a little bit of titanium white, blend the two together. Rather than painting every hair, we're just gonna, kind of blend in some color, and that color still needs to get a little cooler. So let's add some ultramarine blue and alizarin crimson. Cool that color down, and we're going to use kind of an optical mix of the different color here to suggest that we've got, some thinner hair here that's kind of cropped short. Now go back to this more black mix and pop in a little bit of striation. I'll add a little more blue to it. And go a little bit darker yet. Umber dark, alizarin crimson. And we'll just kind of create again a little bit more blending here, just to show kind of that cropped nature of what's going on. A little bit of shadow under here. Kind of an optical mix there, and then try to blend the hair a little bit out. Okay, and I'm just going to create a really dark black here with ultramarine blue, raw umber dark, a bit of alizarin crimson. We're going to pop that in on top of the hair again and just get something a little bit richer over that foundation we had from before. Get some striations in. Try to see where we've got some highlights and leave room for that. Okay, and then we also can come back in and get in a little bit of the structure, like of his eyebrows and his eyes. So he's got his eyes right here. So this is the dark black kind of going over some of the shadow shapes. Get a little bit of the shape of the eyebrows going up on the arch there. It's right here. Just fill this in. Just fill it in the middle here a little bit. Just try to get that shape going a little bit more concretely. Really strong contrast here. And then we're going to get a little bit of a shadow under the nose. Get the mouth. He almost looks like has a Ronald Reagan kind of face. Put a little bit of shadow right there, showing the other side of the teeth and where the mouth hits the nasolabial fold. Then there's a little gap of the teeth underneath. Okay, and now put in a little bit of the teeth color. We'll take some titanium white and mix it into this dark color we used for his hair. get kind of a gray. Just add a little raw sienna to it, warm it up slightly. Pop that in right there for the teeth. We add just a little white to it. And let's go a little bit darker. Teeth are not white, although we often paint them as white. They actually are quite dark, especially when they're in shadow. So we just want to kind of render them as the right kind of color. And then you can put a little bit of the detail. We don't want to over detail them since, you know, we can only suggest it at this stage. Okay, I'm going to use more of my detail brush and get in a little bit of coloring for the lips. And we'll just pop that in right there. Okay, get a little bit of coloring for the nose. Now let's do some highlights on its face. And we'll take some titanium white and Indian yellow, a little bit of organic orange. We'll start getting in some highlights here. Let's go a little bit lighter yet. Add some titanium white to this. There we go. And we'll just start putting that in on the cheek area. Just kind of blend this in everything. Get some highlights going for the ear. Work that in. Okay, he does have that little dimple. I'd like to leave room for that. Okay, we'll put a little bit more of a yellowish tint to this. Adding raw sienna. Use that for the neck area, which seems to have a little bit more of a yellow cast. Let's add a little titanium white to it. Just lighten that value up. We want to make sure that the highlight is lighter than the midtone. There we go. And let's take a little bit more titanium white and some Indian yellow and organic orange. We'll work this off to the side. I'm down to 5 minutes left, so just trying to see what I can do here at the end to get this painting looking as good as possible. A little more white. Let's get some nice highlights on that nose area. The nose has a little more of a pinkish hue, so let's pop that in. Okay, let's get a little more white and we'll put that in on the nose. That tonal value is quite bright there. We really want to get that strong light on the nose. Again, we have a fairly strong light on the cheek and then some of these areas by the hair as well. Let's try to show some of the light going through his short hair on the side. And if we can get a little more highlight on this area right down here, that would be good. Okay, we'll highlight here. That's good. Now let's put a shadow on the neck area. We'll take some ultramarine blue, add it to that black color that we had from before. A little bit of matte medium, tiny bit of alizarin crimson, and then we'll just block this in here on the shirt area. And that's got to be lighter than the skin tone, so I got to make sure I add enough white that it is lighter than the skin tone. Okay, we'll just block that in. Getting real close here. Add just a slightly darker color to that. All right, that's cool. Just a little bit more work here on this area around the eyes. Just want to refine that eye a little bit more. Nasolabial fold a little bit more. Kind of lost some of that definition there. All right, just a minute or two left. See what we can do in this time frame. Get a little bit of blending right here on these midtones on the forehead. Just try to get another level of shading if I can. There we go. A little bit of warmth on the lip. A little more blending. Get a dark tonal value right up against the edge of this shirt. Just putting a little contrast right there. I'm just going to go until it stops ticking. Even though it rang, I'm just going to wait for the timer to stop. Actually, it's ticking. And then I'll put my brush down. Still ticking. It's going to stop really soon. Okay. All right, I'll stop here and we'll call this done. All right, so this is what we have for 30 minutes. Yeah, not bad. I mean, it's a good sense, I think, of, the lighting structure of the face. Obviously I got pretty constrained there by the end of the timer and I forgot to All right, just allow me this. Just allow me to be able to put in just that little canal for the ear. I forgot that, but if I don't have that in, that's going to be really crazy. At least that much. Okay. All right. So That's what we have for 30 minutes, but still pretty fun, pretty cool. It's just nice to see, the overall structure of the face develop that quickly. And again, when we're doing these portraits, we're not concentrating so much on, trying to make an eye look like an eye or a nose look like a nose, mouth look like a mouth. We concentrated more on the value structure and then just like developing the shadows and, showing the skin tones, not so much with the color of what we mix, so that is important, but more with the actual tonal value differences. And yes, the anatomical structure of his face is not exact. I mean, there's a lot I would change on this, but for 30 minutes, I'm pretty happy with it. That was challenging to get that sense of the short hair shown in there, but I think, I pulled that off pretty nicely. The Lord helped me to do that. Still kind of missing some of the information on his ear that really could make it look better. But, if I took this painting as it is right here and then say added another 30 minutes to it, I probably could get it to look pretty nice. And then if I took it all the way up to 2 hours using 30-minute increments each time, challenging myself to see what I could do in that time frame, within 2 hours, I probably could have a pretty nice portrait. It wouldn't be, like one where I spent hours and hours using the glazing technique, but it kind of has a nice impasto, lifelike quality to it that I appreciate. So I do need to do more of these, and hopefully I can get onto a rhythm where I can do these more consistently, because they're just a lot of fun. And they are a little bit abusive to my brushes, though. This... if you look at this, I'll show you the close-up. This brush, wow, that took a beating during this painting process, but hopefully I can clean that out and get it back to a point. I think I can. Anyway, I enjoyed this. I hope you did too. If you enjoyed this session, give it a thumbs up, like this video, subscribe, share this with your friends. Let me know if you like these 30-minute acrylic portraits, and if you'd like me to do more. I got to see some comments. Let me know in the comments if you want me to do more, and then I'll start making more time in my schedule for this. I really thrive in other people's encouragement, and to know that what I'm doing on this channel is valuable to you. So your feedback means a lot to me, and it really helps me then to know what to invest my time into, because really I'm here to serve you. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and look forward to seeing your comments. If you do a 30-minute acrylic portrait, shoot me an email. You know how to get a hold of me. Just go to my website and you can send me an email, or just let me know somehow, Facebook Messenger, whatever. But look forward to hearing back from you. God bless you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.
I was painted well.